It is your prisonplanet.tv memberships that fund so much of what we do here on this operation. And then we're more than happy for the TV show after it's aired live, then be leaked out onto the web to tens of millions of people. That's our goal. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday, June 11th, 2013. I am your host, Alex Jones, and we are going to be live here, Lord willing, for the next 3 hours. Wow, it is good to be back in studio here in Austin, Texas. By the grace of God, I was able to successfully transport over to the UK and have the biggest victory ever against the Bilderberg group and the entire criminal shadow government. The people controlling more and more of our destiny, the organizations setting up the illegal spy grids, the organizations openly connected to massive narcotics trafficking, the organizations openly financing our enslavement with our own tax money and enriching themselves with those private contracts out of government to do so. Absolutely amazing victory. And we have a big debate yesterday in Parliament, with the Prime Minister admitting he may have broken the law going to the meeting. So that clip is coming up today. Obviously, you have the NSA whistleblower contractor, Snowden. And you've got House Speaker Boehner and the Republicans giving Obama right cover, fake right cover, and saying this man is guilty of treason. No, Peter King of New York is guilty of treason. The Speaker of the House is guilty of treason. Boehner, they are all part of this giant illegal spy grid where Obama is also using this stuff against the Tea Party and against the free press. There has been a reign of terror against whistleblowers. This is a bipartisan criminal operation at the highest levels, and it gives them unfair trade advantage for the globalist corporations who are able to use all this data. There are over 800,000 declassified, on record members of private defense companies that have top secret or above clearances who can get into all this. We've had whistleblowers on using their names over the years. Last year, we're getting them back on, who've worked in defense intelligence and say, look, I can dial in and listen to your phone anytime I want. I can go into your email right now. All of it has back doors built in. It's the Telecommunications Act of, 1983, and then 1996, and then 2001, and they're always expanding it. It's all on record. It's all on record. And they only get the fake rubber stamp FISA court thing when they want to use something in a stupid kangaroo court prosecution. What blows me away is I've been following this so long that either some of the people on the news that are so-called experts are just whitewashing it or they're ignorant. Because I'm even looking at what this whistleblower, Snowden's putting out, of what he knew with Verizon systems and, billions of phone calls. It's actually much, much worse than that. And the CIA director last year, Petraeus, at the time CIA director, bragged at a tech conference, yeah, everything in your house is listening to you. Smart meters dial in. Quote, your dishwasher's listening to you. Your cell phones have tracker chips. They dial in and listen when it's turned off. They've got keyword software. And by the way, the hackers today are countering all this with terrorist terms online. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not what will jam this up. Okay? You talk about the latest patent you're about to go for. You talk about a medical development. You talk about how you caught a congressman doing something illegal. That will give them so many headaches. Talk about how you're a whistleblower that's going to go public. I've got a big whistleblower coming on today that will expose that Obama is trying to transfer nuclear weapons to Al-Qaeda. Ooh, boy, that right there will give them headaches for days. Talk about how you're going to try to stop a terror attack. They're running in a drill. that gets flagged. They're there to make sure the terrorists attack us. So you want to jam it, talk about making sure we stop terrorists. Ladies and gentlemen, we're live. It is Tuesday, the 11th day of June, 2013. I am your host, Alex Jones, and we are going to be live here for the next 3 hours. No guest today. I'm looking at having an NSA whistleblower on in the next few days. One that we actually had on last year but got no media attention that's really just as important as this current one. But I want to explain something to everybody here. And if you're a long-time listener, you know this. If you've seen my films, you know this. I told you 15 years ago, 16 years ago, exactly how the spying worked, who was doing it, and what was being set up. And that's because it's all public worldwide. I mean, your cable boxes had microphones in them 20 years ago listening to you. 10 years ago, TiVo systems were tracking everything you did, creating psychological algorithms. The Connect system in your house scans through your walls with the wireless internet field down to how many freckles are on your face. They listen to every word you say. Every new appliance, from clock radios to dishwashers and dryers to your smartphone, is listening to you in live time, even when the phone's off. They have built-in little micro batteries and things so they can power them up whenever they need to. The entire society is organized by globalist criminals as part of a technocratic takeover. So, of course, you've got the Republican leadership coming out to give desperate right-wing, fake right-wing, kleptocrat cover to Obama and saying that Mr. Snowden, Edward Snowden, is a treasonous traitor. They've got reports with the intelligence people saying he needs to be disappeared. Oh, kind of like the little kids who get disappeared all over the world? Yeah, we know what you're into. Just like our government is caught shipping in the majority of narcotics, but then I fly into the country and went through 4 checkpoints in Dallas now. 4 checkpoints getting back into the U.S. and had the customs people with my passport saying, this expires in a year and a half. You need to get a new one. And I said, wow, you're really on a power trip. Do you know who I am? Thinking she was persecuting me. And she goes, no. And I said, well, is it illegal to have a passport that expires in a year and a half? Well, I just think you need to get a new one. Is there something wrong with this one? And she just sits there staring at me. It was like, you know, Janet Reno type. And then a pilot walks over and says, I just want to shake your hand. And they don't mess with the pilots too much because they'll throw fits and get back in their face. And then I was going through waiting for my reporter to come through. I was just down the hall, you know, towards the next checkpoint. And they're like, don't wait, get out of here. But it was, and I just watched them like just being rude to everybody. And then we had to go back through TSA again. It was incredible. Back through TSA again now, after already a couple other layers. And it was just like out of South Park. Shoes off, passport open, show your ID, have it ready, get back, I told you. I'll walk over, the guy looks at me and goes, oh, go to the fast lane, right over there. And I mean, this country is in so much trouble. And I went over there and gave a whole speech about not only are these body scanners giving you cancer, but these aren't properly shielded. I've had radiologists on who've come through with meters. These x-ray machines you're sitting at to x-ray, the bags are high-powered, and you are going to die of cancer. And they're like, why are you giving us a problem? Like I go, hey, I'm not the one that ships the drugs in like the government or puts syphilis in the vaccines for black men. And they're like, please, just go. And they go, we'll have to do the pat down, but just... And the guy's like, I know the NSA spying on us. I know it's all crap. I just need this job. By the way, a lot of us know what's going on. Don't be so hard on us. And those were all the nice ones. It was the head ones giving orders that were like, shoes off, photo open to the page. I told you, photo open to the page. And they were sitting there just obsessive, compulsively The guy looked just like the person we're showing on the TV screen of your PrisonPlanet.tv viewer. Exact same goatee. Sounded just like that guy. Sir. Shut up, sir. I mean, it was right out of the toilet safety police. And when I flew out to London from Austin, it was just through one checkpoint, to Dallas, on my connection, right on the plane to London. The security was about a third. The security theater about a third in London, what it is here. And I remember many years ago being over in Europe and thinking their security was worse than ours. Now it's less, and it's not real security. I'm going to explain something to everybody. They have got attack pieces, before I get to all this news, in, let's not exaggerate, 50 publications a day now. Bloomberg, Reuters, AP, Salon, reporters crawling through everything. I wouldn't be surprised if they aren't my garbage. And they are freaking out, saying this guy is able to put stories out and get the media talking about it. He's got to be shut down. And they've got Bill O'Reilly, Glenn Beck, Rachel Maddow, people on CNN. Bloomberg has a piece out saying Alex Jones doesn't build bombs, he builds bombers, and he needs to be shut down. A month-long investigative report, written like a high school writer wrote it, full of baloney and distortions and lies. My plane landed in Dallas yesterday, and I got on it while I was waiting in line through the first big customs checkpoint. And I read it, and I couldn't believe the article. It was such distortion and lies. And then I saw a bunch of others, and I just realized they're totally freaked out. And I've had a bunch of other articles saying this. They're going, don't listen to Alex Jones. Now with all the NSA stuff and the IRS persecution stuff and the secret arrest stuff coming out, all this, he's really getting a lot of credibility. And media, we need to go after him. We need to, and by the way, he doesn't need to be on Sirius, and he doesn't need to be on AM and FM stations. It's horrible. Look at the Bloomberg headline. Alex Jones sells gold on Sirius with bombing conspiracies. And Paul Watson's got an article about it going up on Infowars.com the next hour, just countering some of the baloney. And again, why are they shooting at me politically? By the way, we hardly sell any gold. Gold is one of the smallest sponsorships we've got. Unfortunately, I wish I could get more money and fund more stuff. We get a good gold sponsor, high quality, good prices. Started promoting gold when it was, $300 an ounce or less. It's been up to almost 2,000. I've never sold any of the gold I've bought or silver. Started promoting silver when it was $5. Didn't sell any of the stuff I had when it went to 50. Goes down to 30. Didn't sell any of it. It's an emergency for collapsing society. But I only promote what I believe in. I mean, you hear my voice endorsing something, I believe in it. And they act like it's dirty. Bloomberg makes billions off his media empire, shoveling anti-gun, anti-family garbage, and that's okay. And then they said, give us your financial numbers. And I said, I'm only talking to you so I can expose you afterwards. She goes, oh, I'm your friend. I go, I know you're not my friend. You were assigned by top editors to do this piece. You have 3 reporters on this. Please, I can tell this is all a big joke. And I said, I'll tell you our financial stuff, but you have to quote me. And she said, we will. And they did not. I said to her, we bring in about $7 million a year right now, and then we're spending every bit of it. I have not been paid in about 7-8 months. It looks like I won't be paid for the year. And that's my goal, is to put everything into this fight. I've got some emergency backup money over the years to fund things for a few months if we got shut down or something. And I wish we had more of a backup. And I said, that's it. And she put, he rakes in for himself $7 million a year. Not that it's bad that I make money, but I'm proud of the fact that I do this for the truth and risk my life. I mean, let me tell you, this is not fun, folks. Being demonized all over the place and lied about. And called a liar by a pack of liars. I mean, Bloomberg's a creepy gangster. Bloomberg and Silverstein have openly had their people come up to our reporters in New York on video. It's in my film, Truth Rising, and said, listen, we're going to say your camera's a bomb. We're going to put you in jail for 30 days, maybe longer. You're not allowed to have this demonstration. And we have the permits. We're here. And they said, look, with pipes. Guys going, listen here, guys in suits with pipes, talking like worse than Goodfellas. I mean, if they walked on a Hollywood set, they would have the job as the thugs. And then people like Luke Rudowski, getting death threatened at home, family getting death threatened, the kind of calls where they're listening to your phone line and tell you what you're talking about, he gets those. Okay? You and your family are dead. And by the way, we're listening to you. You just said this earlier. Yeah, that's right. Those kind of calls. I mean, this is who runs the government. I mean, they can kill whoever they want all over the world. They love it. It's a mafia. It's their country now. And this is the kind of stuff. Luke's been arrested for just asking Bloomberg a question. My reporters have been arrested. I mean, these are thugs. These are dirtbag gangsters. And I'm going head up against them. So we need your prayers first and foremost. And we need your monetary support because we need to expand in the face of this new world order. And we need you to spread the word about the broadcast. If I'm going to risk my life, my name, my treasure, my family, everything, I'm going to do this 110%. And I am. And all I ask of the listeners is you support us, spreading the word 110%, and that my crew realize the position they're in. This is not a game. This is not a joke. This is the real deal. This is history happening right now because everything we've warned people about is now being revealed, and they're in the process of trying to spin the whole thing, and we're going to break that down on the other side of this break. Stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what treason is. Treason is putting our military publicly under NATO command. Treason is allowing foreign governments access to all the NSA spy grids. Treason is, in the last really 40 years, putting snooping hubs in all the telecommunications grids and now massively upgrading all of those. That's what treason is. Treason is abolishing the Bill of Rights and Constitution. Treason is militarizing the police. Treason is selling weapon systems to this country's enemies. Treason is trying to open up all the borders in this country and putting foreigners on welfare and then using them as a voting bloc to destroy our Bill of Rights and Constitution. Treason is putting regulations in place designed to ship our jobs to China where the globalists have their major investments. Treason is not Edward Snowden making over $200,000 a year as a CIA technical person and then going to work because they've privatized all this corruption. Tens of billions a year per major company in some cases. And there's just hundreds of these defense contractor companies to put in the L3 body scanners, billions of dollars, sometimes hundreds of millions per city. I was reading where New York has dozens and dozens of anti-bomb robots. Some of them cost $10 million a piece. Austin just spent over $10 million for some robots. And it's all defense contractors taking over America and making us the enemy and saying we're doing it to fight al-Qaeda. If you don't give up your rights, al-Qaeda is going to kill you and kill your family. When they run al-Qaeda, they've always run al-Qaeda. All these wars, all of it, it's just designed to transfer the economy into these globalist hands while destroying the real economy, while selectively enforcing taxes. And so when Boehner and King and all these other congressmen, Republicans and Democrats, come out and say, arrest this guy. There's a Daily Mail article where they're talking about disappearing. They're saying, let's just kill him. That's exactly what Snowden is saying he'll try to do. He walked away from all of this because he said he doesn't want to live in a world where everything's surveilled and recorded. And then they sell this idea. I had a guy on the airplane next to me last night, flying back from Austin to Dallas. Yeah, there's the headline, intelligence officials, not servants, overheard joking about how the NSA leaker should be disappeared after handling classified documents, handing them to the press. And so, again, this is the system. Who's going to watch the watchers? Who's going to control the big paramilitary grid? Google was created by them. So it could publicly get you to opt into being surveilled, and then even when you choose to not let them surveil you, they break past your passcodes. They send out thousands of vehicles, robot vehicles now, in Europe and the United States, without even people driving them in some areas, with antennas on the top, driving by with government passcodes to break into your computer. That's all now admitted. How long have I told you that? Now it's all admitted that Google and Verizon and Microsoft and Apple and all of them gave the government everything, and under the specs built back doors into everything. Of course they did. Who gave Google its money to found? Who told the courts to let Google be above the law and no other tech company can do that? Look at Apple with suicide nets around its factories, the worst factories in China, now replacing them with robots. Think about how they do all of this with the PRISM systems and others. They take everything you do and dump it into computers, and these hackers today, I'm going to get into this after the break, they're saying, jam the networks with messages about terror attack, bombing, Al-Qaeda. That is not what jams it. Let me tell you what jams it. Yes, we have photos of the Defense Intelligence operatives that were there with the patsies in command of them on April 15th, and we're releasing that data. We're releasing that data today at 2 o'clock Central. Now, that will flag all the computers out there. Now, we don't actually have that. We already have that info. That already came out in the photos. That's why they say don't look at it. We already know there was a drill. That's why they say don't look. That's why they're so mad at us. Because they want to run their classic scripts, and we're here awake and staring, knowing their tricks. But you want to jam them. Talk about how you developed a new software program that encrypts. Talk about how you've discovered that your bees can't be killed by Roundup. You'll be SWAT teamed within hours. If you try to save humanity, you'll be SWAT teamed. Say you've caught the government with a white slavery ring. That's right, and our greatest contribution to the world and humanity's future, myself, my entire team, our listeners, our supporters, all the stations that carry the broadcast, is that we make it safe for other people to talk about the New World Order, to talk about the FEMA camps, to talk about the billions of bullets, to talk about the foreign banks that have pretty much captured America. We can be attacked. I can be called the bad man. I can be demonized. I can take the heat. And then it makes it safe for other people to then come behind us and start covering this information. Which, again, it is mainstream news that DynCorp and Halliburton subsidiaries and the UN, all of them have been caught running giant sex slave rings, giant slave camps, grabbing men from all over Eastern Europe, you name it, taking them to huge camps to run brick factories, textile facilities, the women to slave camps. And it comes out in the back of the paper. Nobody gets in trouble. They grow almost all the opium, ship it in on C-130s into U.S. bases. I've interviewed all the CIA people, retired Army generals, you name it, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and currently, where they're there, and it's just you open up the crates, it's cocaine, heroin, it's distributed to the mafia, and you and your family. Your house is robbed as a tax, so dope heads can use it. Then the cops want to search you for looking for drugs. I mean, it's all a big joke. I had them say, do you got any drugs or anything? At one of the checkpoints, coming back in, I said, I don't use government products. The government ships the drugs in. And the lady with customs went, yeah, I know. It's just well known. Like, you're going to ask me about shipping drugs in? How about little kids out of the country? All of you that work for this system, it's on you, okay? All of this evil. Every bit of it is on you. It's all tied to you. A millstone around your neck. You seen the Christmas Carol? Where Ebenezer Scrooge, his two associates that died years before him, and weren't half as greedy and corrupt as he was, have giant chains all tied all over around. They got to pull through eternity, millstones around their neck, and your chains are much larger. You understand that? And I know you can feel those chains as well. And it's just, I mean, TSA, I'm like, the government is putting cancer viruses in the vaccines. The government is poisoning with fluoride, Harvard studies. And first they walk over all arrogant. They're like, so, why are you acting so upset? Well, I'm upset about that you want to grope me, that you got naked body scanners, that those scanners right there are literally barbecuing you. The X-ray machine, X-raying all this stuff. You know about your cancer clusters? And they all suddenly went, yeah, we do. And I went, that's right. I don't care. I make a break with you now. I see you. I know who you are. And I say, attack me all you want. I don't care. Give it all to me. Whatever it is. Whatever happens. I want the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God Almighty. I have sworn on the altar of God, eternal resistance and defiance over every form of tyranny over the mind of humankind. I will not sit here anymore and watch a bunch of scum, gangs of filth, tell us how they're protecting us from terrorists all day and Al-Qaeda while they inject the troops with deadly experimental vaccines as they die en masse. On and on and on. I am not going to sit, because here's the deal. All of you that work for the system and think you're part of a winning gang and make excuses to yourself and have like some childlike fantasy that you're part of the establishment, you are not part of the establishment. And the people that are even doing this on top are delusional. Only madmen get rid of checks and balances. Only madmen allow systems to be set up like this. This has been repeated throughout history over and over and over again, and every time it goes the same place. Do you know what a tyranny is? A tyranny is an organized criminal group in government that decides to begin using government to enrich themselves and then shut down anyone that criticizes them. It is an organized criminal movement in government. And none of the criminals in government will start checking the other ones because there's a sense of power. I walked over to the intermediate border checkpoint, flying back in. I walked over nicely and said, hello, handed her my passport, praying that they wouldn't act like power-tripping, obsessive-compulsive mental patients. And you know what? She did. Because I was watching them dress down, give little orders, dominate, and feed their power ego. And if you look like you were a foreigner, if you look like you didn't, you couldn't speak English, you were right through. It was citizens. It was milk cows. It was good-looking women. It was people with kids that needed to be dressed down because the message, even in the TSA ads, this was Border Patrol, Customs. Even in the TSA ads, it says, we want you to be imperious. Imperious. Acting arrogant and imperial. They want our will broken. They want it broken now. All of it's Pavlovian conditioning. And I, for one, am done. Let's put the actual definition of tyranny up on screen for people. Again, tyranny is really an organized criminal group using government to expand their power. From Webster's, the oppressive power, every form of tyranny over the mind of man. Thomas Jefferson, number 2, a government in which absolute power is vested in a single ruler, especially one charismatic or ancient Greek city-state. The office of authority of administration of a tyrant, the bureaucratic tyrants. A rigorous condition imposed by some outside agency or force, living under the tyranny of the clock. An oppressive, harsh, or unjust act, a tyrannical act. Yeah, I mean, the best definition of tyranny is organized crime taking over government. And that's the norm in history 99+% of the time. There have been thousands of governments throughout history. And there are only maybe 5 or 6 you could call somewhat free. And they always produce so much wealth and so much freedom and so much incredible art and inventions that civilization rises, takes over, and then the great-grandkids become spoiled, corrupt mafias come in, gangs come in. There is a hell time, sometimes 100 years, sometimes 5 years, There is a time of hell and torture and death and abuse and nightmare. And then the society implodes into sub-gangs usually and never reemerges. It usually destroys the society forever. And we're now in it. They will steal everything. They will not stop. And now we're talking about big tech companies caught working with the government, putting in spy grids, real from the pressure. And they are trying to, convince the public it's for their safety. And then bizarre press conferences with Obama saying, look, you need to trust us or bad things are going to happen. And now that they know you see them, they're acting totally creepy, even more creepy than Nixon going, I'm not a crook. They're acting absolutely guilty, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And it's come out they use the NSA data to harass good, non-criminal type organizations. Because evil and corruption understands that good is a fire that must be extinguished, because they know historically it'll always get so bad that good will then ignite during great times of tyranny, because for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So the instinct of evil is to extinct good. That's why if you're a good person, you think, well, I'm all right. I have nothing to hide. They want to come after you because you're good. They want your children. They want to force vaccines into you. They want to make you pay all these corporate taxes of Obamacare and all the rest of it. They will never stop. There's never enough for them. They're never going to back off until they're defeated. You don't appease tyrants. You don't appease despots. Let's go over some of these. Let's go over some of these headlines right here. Look at this Paul Watson article, and I called him this morning, and I love Paul Watson. I love my whole crew. But I said, Paul, these polls, you can commission them for whatever you want. It's like I saw a poll earlier this year that less Americans own guns, and people don't like guns, put out by a Democratic Party-run group on record. I mean, they might as well say, 100% of people support Mao Zedong. The poll says they've got demographics groups, people they've already contacted, they can get these numbers from. Everybody I've talked to, except for one guy on the airplane, who said, well, I like the Republicans, and I think they're right saying Obama hadn't done bad on this. See, because they have Democrats come out and say they're against it, so then Republicans go, oh, well, it must be okay then if Democrats don't like it. And, of course, Democrats do love the government surveillance and tyranny as long as it's not Obama. That's the headline up on the Drudge Report. And that's the big distraction here, is that at the very top of the pyramid, there's no difference between Republicans and Democrats. That's why you've got Boehner and McCain always trying to demonize the Tea Party, always trying to shut it down, always trying to take control of it. You got Karl Rove on Fox News constantly going after Rand Paul and the real Tea Party, because we're getting more and more people elected. The Republican Party is the best avenue to have a libertarian constitutional takeover. And we're very close to doing it, except for all the election fraud that's going on. But we're having victory, and it's scaring the entire establishment. That's why you saw the mainline Republicans try to demonize Rand Paul and Ted Cruz and people early on. When they couldn't beat them, though, they then said, oh, we love you, and tried to co-opt them. But it's the other way around. Now they've got the entire Republican leadership, from National Review to Bill O'Reilly to Glenn Beck, literally saying things about me. I mean, go look, that isn't true. Next up, we've got sexual hate speech going on. And then they cut to a clip of me talking about government assassinations in the U.S. out of context. And the person watching that is like, oh, this is the man in sex hate speech. When it's Bill O'Reilly that's settled out of court with women in his office for all sorts of, weird stuff. I'm not going to repeat it all here with a family audience. I mean, I did nothing to Bill O'Reilly. Glenn Beck comes out. I haven't even played this clip. It's like last Thursday. It was like 2 in the morning England time. I've got my iPhone, and I see the clip, and I watch it, and he's going, Alex Jones people are death-threatening me. He's dangerous. I mean, you could say anybody's death-threatening you. Well, I could have somebody send an email to me and say, Glenn Beck threatened me. I mean, it's just made up. Why are they coming after me? Because, folks, the government knows I'm real. The globalists, the crime syndicate that's hijacked it, they know. They know all about when I was a kid. They know all about when I was a teenager. They know all about college. They know who I am, folks. They know. They know. They know I'm real. And that's what they're afraid of, is one man who's real. Because other men can then take that as an example and emulate that and become even greater. That's why they spend all day saying, I'm not real. I was on BBC on their live show, their big Meet the Press, one of their top-rated shows of the week. The Queen of England and people go on it. And I just shut them down. I broke the trance. I got in their face. I said, I'm not playing games here. And when the cameras, when they went to break, I stopped yelling over him because we were going to break. And then I turned on my iPhone. I haven't even uploaded this yet because I was so busy. I'm going to upload it today. And I interviewed them behind the scenes, like I did the Bilderberg group member, their Treasury Secretary, Balls. And he goes, this is all fake. This is all an act. And I said, no, it's not. He goes, well, you just stopped yelling. And I said, well, the show's over. I was yelling over you. I was dominating you. And then he went back on and said that I was a fake and that it was all an act. This is what they want. They want you to believe that there's no one real. They want you to believe that this type of thing is going on because that's all they can do. That's all they can do. And then, of course, they had security running in as well. I knew if I yelled, that would give them the pretext to maybe even arrest me. But then when I got down to the bottom with the security, they walked over and they said, we're former police here. And they said, what you said about the 7/7 bombing in Mendez is absolutely right. How did you know that? And I said, well, what's right? And they said, exactly what you said. That guy was, that was an assassination, the drills, all of it. And these cops, one and down the elevator and the one that followed us out, literally had tears in his eyes. Again, he goes, you're absolutely right. And was like, because they know, folks, they know the government did that. They know. That's why the cops, when I gave that speech to 2,000 people inside, 1,000 they turned away, right above Bilderberg meeting, in the rolling countryside northwest of London, the police came over, and it was female cops, male cops, the head cops, and they were just hugging me. And some of them were like, we know the truth. We're with you. We know, we've seen it. In fact, not just some of them, so many of them came over and said, what do? We know. I don't know all the answers, folks. I just know we have a corporate mafia takeover, and people resonate with the fact that I'm willing to risk my life to go up against these people 110%. And that's why they want to tell you I'm a government agent, or I'm bad, or I'm fake, or there's nothing real, because they don't want you to have hope. They don't want you to believe there's good people that were able to do something real and able to take action. They want you to imagine the only people that could be successful were fakes or operatives, because only government has power. That's not true. You have the power. And now they're trying to say that Edward Snowden is a traitor and must work for the communist Chinese, Bear, the old CIA globalist. Unbelievable. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to focus, because I've got all this news I want to get to at the start of the next hour, and then for the balance of the broadcast, from the bottom of the next hour, right through to the end of the transmission, we'll take your calls and get into the military news, the economic news, the rest of it. But I want to just show briefly, I'm going to get into this more in the next hour, what Richard Reeves pointed out in the airport yesterday. If you're a TV viewer, you can see this. If not, become a PrisonPlanet.tv member, or we archive it the next day. But look right here. USA Today in England is spying storm. Millions of calls being tracked, internet data mined from biggest companies. In the U.S., it's I've done nothing wrong. Same issue, same day, Monday. That's how you get different info. And now you've got Robert Baer, a super creepy CIA guy. He's been on the show before. He's always spinning everything in directions I don't agree with. And he's saying, oh, maybe this guy's a Chinese spy. Well, yeah, he's run to Hong Kong because that's an area known where he might be able to not be grabbed, but it doesn't matter. They're not denying what he said, that a giant system listens and records everything you do without warrants. They then go, well, we have a FISA thing. When the FISA is a micron of it. They're already grabbing it all, and they use it against you. I was talking to the Times of London writer that I debated on that British BBC show. I even had this on video. I'm going to upload that later today. I've just been so busy, I haven't gotten to it all because the internet was kind of slow over there in England, at least on my phones. And I said, you know, I've gotten death threats where they tell me what I was just talking about on the phone. They're tapping my phone. And he basically goes, well, you deserve it. I was talking to this big Esquire writer whose dad was a top CIA guy in Vietnam, involved in the assassination of Viet Dinh. He's doing a big profile on me. I think they're sending a photographer tomorrow. And he goes, well, you're a scary guy. You know, maybe you deserve to have the Secret Service aim their guns at you. Maybe you deserve. I mean, it's just like they all feel like, because they're friends with the system, that they're going to be protected. You're not protecting anybody. Our whole society is going down a rat hole here. If the globalists would kill 1 million Iraqis for the oil and for no-bid weapons contracts, what will they do to us? The New World Order hates Americans about 10 times what they hate Iraqis, folks. I'm here to tell you. We are hated by them, that they can't get our guns. They can't do all this. They're butchering the country right now. They're gutting it. They're bankrupting at $85 billion a month. I'm seeing our country killed here. We've got to wake up and say no. And yes, our credibility is rising because people have discovered that large parts of what we said are now admitted. But then they put out fake polls going, you know, Pew Research, oh, Americans love being spied on for their safety. Yeah, with key demographics they know they can target and say, to keep you safe from terrorists. Is it okay if they get a warrant and listen to you? Oh, well, certainly. That's the questions. That's not what they're doing. And then Obama comes out in some cryptic speech and goes, I'm not saying trust us, but you better trust us or bad things are going to happen. We're going to go to break and start the next hour, but here's what I'm here to tell you right now. Spread the word about the broadcast. Support us. Become a PrisonPlanet.tv member. 11 memberships for $5.95 a month. 1 master membership. 11 people can be logged in simultaneously. Share it with friends and family. If you're already a member, be sure and share it. Incredible information. Films, all of it. PrisonPlanet.tv. ProPure, the best gravity-fed filter out there. 10% off promo code WATER. 10% off promo code WATER. Strategic Relocation, the safest places by region. Great new film that we produced with Joel Skousen, InfoWarsStore.com. And I'm going to extend the 15% off for phone calls only for 1 day on ProPure Systems at 888-253-3139. I am back in the saddle. I am back in Austin, Texas, by the grace of God. Incredibly successful operation against the globalists at Bilderberg. We have some big breaking news in the next few days with insiders. That's all I'm going to say. Just like we told you, members of Bilderberg Group are going to go public to BBC 4 days before they did. We have bombshell info on Bilderberg that we're working on right now in the next few days. We are revealing the shadow government. We are revealing that they're using the IRS here and in Europe, similar systems to persecute people that are anti-New World Order. They are now beating the drum to call Snowden, Edward Snowden, a traitor. We're going to be getting into all of that, playing some of these audio clips in the next segment. But I want to hear from people here on this broadcast who support what Obama is doing. I want to hear from people that support Boehner coming out and saying, you know, he basically supports what Obama's doing. Remember, they used this phone record stuff to find out about whistleblowers exposing the administration. This spying, and none of the media is talking about that now, is used to politically persecute people. Of course it is. And now if you expose that all Verizon customers, and that's just what this guy knew about because he was putting those hubs in, give all their data to the government. Well, of course they do. The hubs are built in there. You're a traitor. So I'll give the number out in the next segment and take your phone calls. I want to hear from people that called in after Obama was reelected, celebrating and going, how dare you not like Obama? And I was just saying, look, Obama, even though I didn't support him, didn't support McCain either, I hoped some of what he said was true, but it turned out to be all lies, all a total double cross, which we knew because of his advisors and who financed him. But we still said, you know, it's still the future. We'll see what happens. You know, I get things wrong sometimes. I get things flipped around in my mind sometimes. I've been calling ever since I was a kid and read it in a book, the Thames, you know, calling the river that goes through London the Thames when it's the Thames. Probably had 50 people in England go, I like your show, but it's the Thames, not the Thames. I know, I get things wrong. But knowing Obama's a globalist New World Order puppet, that's not something I've gotten wrong. And I want to hear, you still celebrating? You still feeling like you're doing really, really good out there? You like your free Obamacare, which isn't free, written by the insurance companies? Obama was going to end all the secret police. He was going to end all the secret arrests. He was going to, you know, end all the stuff. But, oh, he's expanded it all with his left cover. I want to hear from the Obama people. Like, let's just give the number out now for just Obama people in the first round of calls after I cover news, and then we'll go to everybody. 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. You're an Obama supporter. You're sick of hearing me get up here. You don't normally screen your calls unless I'm saying, hey, I want to hear from police officers in this disaster zone. Or I want to hear from cardiologist on this point. And then people still try to call in on other subjects. I want to hear from you if you still support Obama. And do you like how the Republican leadership's trying to protect them on all this illegal spying that's been targeted at whistleblowers exposing the administration? Are you still that naive? 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. I'll try to be polite and nice to you. But that is what's coming up and a lot more. But first, I've got to get to these clips. I said I would. I haven't gotten to them yet. Where Obama very cryptically says, if you can't trust us, we're going to have a problem. Basically a threat. And then we're going to get into the firestorm of the globalists coming after Infowars.com as well. What is it they're so scared of? Stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the bottom line. I do not have Stockholm Syndrome. If somebody robs me, if somebody tries to oppress me, I don't grovel to them and beg them to abuse me more. I begin to 24/7 think of ways to defeat them. Think of ways to politically and economically, and if I'm defending myself, physically, stomp them into the ground. What is mass Stockholm Syndrome, and why am I talking about it? I've coined the term mass Stockholm Syndrome. And to know what mass Stockholm Syndrome is, you have to know what Stockholm Syndrome is. Stockholm Syndrome, or capture bonding, is a psychological phenomenon in which hostages express empathy and sympathy and have positive feelings towards their captors or abusers, sometimes to the point of defending them, and sometimes the feeling of love. This was in Nazi Germany. They would battle against anyone who didn't try to orderly go into a pit and be shot in the head, and prisoners would jump and grab another man's leg if he tried to run out of the pit and say, no, we must honorably do it. They would thank the Nazis for killing them. Not me. Stockholm Syndrome, or capture bonding, is a psychological phenomenon in which hostages express empathy and sympathy and have positive feelings towards their captors or abusers, sometimes to the point of defending them, and sometimes the feeling of love for the captor shows. These feelings are generally considered irrational in light of the danger or risk endured by the victims, who essentially make a lack of abuse for their captors for an act of kindness. It's worse than that. If they abuse them, they will grovel and decide they're wrong. And what this is total cowardice, total weakness. They're so afraid, they decide that they're not in danger, and they decide to rationalize what's happening. And that's what's going on. Troops 10 years ago started to go public, and they had to kill Pat Tillman over it, and say, we're growing the opium and shipping it out oh my gosh, our government's a mafia. And it got so bad, they just had every channel in the West, from France to England to the United States and Canada, come out on CNN, CNBC, Fox News, BBC, and say, we grow the opium and load it on C-130s and fly it into America, but if we catch you with it, you're going to jail. Because if we don't sell it, Al-Qaeda will get it and make money off of it, when it's actually Al-Qaeda they're funding. And now a cop pulls you over and asks if you have drugs. You'll go, you know the government brings most of them in. They go, yeah, I know. Still, I'm supposed to ask. Then they'll point to the camera, you know, in their glasses or the microphone on their tie. Because they're slaves, too. But that ends the discussion real quick. No, I don't use your products. Because the cop works for the government that runs the drugs, too. He may not like it, but he works for them. Just like a German in a bomb factory worked for Hitler, even though he probably didn't like Hitler. And so, you know, we either wake up to this and call it, or it's all over. Because we're at that crossroads now. The tyranny's all out in the open. Okay, they're listening to everybody. Okay, we'll disappear whoever we want. Okay, there are some cancer viruses in the vaccines. Okay, sodium fluoride is a 7-fold increase in bone cancer, 20-point IQ reduction on average. Harvard study, over 1,000 others. By the way, the TSA, when I was going, you know Harvard study, 7-fold increase in bone cancer, fluoride. You know these things are giving you cancer right here. And the TSA is like, yeah, we know. It changed real fast, didn't it? Because they're under Stockholm Syndrome. And I'm like somebody breaking into the basement and going, come on, let's get out of here. You know, your kidnapper's away. But I'm scared of him. He'll get me if I try to leave. No. I've got a gun. I'll protect you. Let's get out of the basement. Help me unlock these other people in cages. They had a case in France, I remember about 14 years ago. It was in the Times of London. A few other papers, never saw it again, where this big globalist government castle they use for government events in Burgundy. People ought to go look this up. A bunch of women who weighed like, 80 pounds had been in cages, got loose, and they went and found dead women and more women in cages. No prosecutions. I mean, the government has dungeons with missing women in cages. Let's just get that straight. And then they show you their torture porn in movies like Hostel and Saw and all this, and you sit there and get off on it with them. You understand this is a gladiatorial event, just like the Romans would throw people to the lions, and you wouldn't care if it was your neighbor being thrown to the lions because you got to cheer about it. And then nobody cared about you when you got thrown to the lions. They know what they're doing. And it's come out all over Europe. It's come out in the Netherlands, and it's come out in Sweden, and it's come out where they find whole complexes with dead little kids and kids alive in boxes, and it turns out the government ministers are doing it, and no one gets in trouble. And it turns out the BBC covers up Savelle, knowing he was doing this to all these kids, and then ordered the reporters, when it broke, to not even cover it. Supplying kids to the royal family, to the men. I mean, folks, that's who these people are. They're demons. They might as well be a vampire out of a movie. They don't really, burn up at high noon. They don't really grow fangs, folks. We've already got fangs. You don't need to grow fangs. Humans are already like that on the dark side, the real dark side. The dark side isn't powerful. The dark side isn't sexy. People think they're going to get power from the dark side. You are not going to get power from the dark side. You will have power to fight the dark side if you're aware of it, but you've got to admit it. And I don't have mass Stockholm Syndrome because I am sane. And that's what it is when they come out. Pew Research, the article's up on Infowars.com. Majority views TSA, NSA phone tracking as acceptable anti-terror tactic. What they do is they take one little micron out of the Milky Way of info that Snowden put out and say, hey, do you mind if somebody's calling England or calling Europe? Do you mind if that's data mined so we can get an idea and track, who's doing what if something happens later? I mean, is that okay? And people go, oh, well, it's to stop Al-Qaeda. But then you go, well, wait, the government runs Al-Qaeda. Well, wait, they're storing all your phone call audio. They're tracking everything you do. Google was set up by the CIA. Here's all the proof. Oh, well, I'm against that. See, it's how they propose it, and they do that so the sheep get on a bandwagon and go, well, everybody must support this. Everybody must be okay. I must be the weird one. Google, Facebook, Paltalk, YouTube, Skype, AOL, Apple, Microsoft, Yahoo, all of them in the PRISM program. The only group that reportedly said no was Twitter. Say no. Twitter is the worst. I've watched them for a while using revolutions. They are so hardcore, they want you to keep trusting them because they want to get you off email and onto their database. I still use it, but I mean, believe me, Twitter's involved as well. Now, the point is that this is one limited program he was aware of, and they're talking about hundreds of billions of phone calls. In fact, one headline I saw said trillions. The point is that they're building psychological algorithms. Remember like 6 years ago, she had the wardrobe malfunction, her breast popped out, one of the Jackson crew, Janet Jackson, and TiVo came out in the Chicago Tribune and said, we had 2.2 million rewinds and replays of that. And I've been telling you all about these DVRs and cable boxes being two-way forever. It was in the specs. And everybody went, well, how'd you know that? And there was a few articles. Well, they track what you watch. And folks, more than that, they got microphones now and cameras. They're watching you. They're listening to you. The CIA director bragged. Is he going to get arrested, Petraeus, for going public and saying, oh, we use all the appliances in your house through the smart meters and all the new video game consoles to watch everything you're doing? Oh, he just let out national security right there. But see, that was part of throwing it in your face, you see, basting you in it. But then a mid-level person comes out and says everything's being tracked. It's a giant grid. They're watching everyone. They're using it against political groups, and they're like, he must work for the Chi-Coms or the Ruskies, and now that's the only place he's got to run, so that'll become the self-fulfilling prophecy. And then it becomes a patriotic thing of, good, spy on everything I do. I'm patriotic. USA, USA. Maybe you can go chant USA as they load the opium on the aircraft to fly it around the world. Or in Eastern Europe when they grab little kids, out of their backyards and then put them on C-130s for snuff films and stuff. Maybe you can watch the snuff films and chant USA, USA as they blow kids' brains all over the walls, huh? After pot-belly pedophiles rape them. You want to chant USA to that? How about projected image of Anton LaVey, at the Washington Monument, we can chant USA, USA. I mean, hell, here, run off this cliff. I'm chanting USA. I think people do it. Hey, you're not patriotic if you don't jump off that cliff. You don't throw your kid in a wood chipper. It's Stockholm Syndrome. They are so afraid of admitting how much tyranny we're under, they want to just act friendly to it. Okay, I accept it. Take all my money, watch everything I do. I love you. I think it's great. I think it's good. I think I'm safe. I think I'm part of the system. So they secretly arrest people. Oh, so they rape kids at Abu Ghraib in front of their parents. So they waterboard people. They're keeping us safe from Muslim extremists. Yeah, but they're running Al-Qaeda in Libya and Syria and founded them. Well, we have to do that to get the Arabs, divide and conquer. Enemy of my enemy is my friend, blah, 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 blah. And everybody, plays at CIA agent, and people all kind of sycophantically get off on the fighter bombers and the jets and the armored vehicles and all of it. It's all for you. You go through customs and you're a citizen, they're going to talk you down. They're going to line you up. They're going to grab your genitals. They're going to get in your face. They're going to let you know. They're going to hammer you. They're going to come to your pro-life group and say, you can't go be anti-abortion in America. They're authoritarians. They go on MSNBC and say, we're going to tell you what you can do with your children, because your children don't belong to you. They belong to the state now, and smile at you, and they're coming because they know you've got Stockholm Syndrome. They know you're so afraid you'll do whatever they say. We're sending out an SOS. Coming up, we have the audio of IRS agent tells pro-life group, keep your faith to yourself. That article's up on Hot Air, linked via Drudge Report. And again, folks, if you don't know the First Amendment, you don't understand they have no right to be doing that. Just like it's a felony every time they illegally spy on you without a warrant. And then the media is helping play along that, oh, it's just broad FISA stuff. No, it's everything is recorded. Everything is spied on. And the answer is expose these people. We got the Obama supporters coming up. I want to hear them defend Obama, so we open the phones up just for them. 800-25-99231. Rob and Dan and Steve and Frank and Matt. Then we'll go to the rest of the general calls. Open the phones up after I take 5 or 6 calls from Obama supporters. hearing them defend all of this. So what is it when they put out a poll saying that the majority of Americans love being spied on without warrants? Well, it's part of fake polling. I don't believe those numbers. I've done my own polls on the street. A, they've gone to select audiences to create a bandwagon effect. But B, there are a lot of people who are saying they're okay with it because they're scared deep down, and it's mass Stockholm syndrome. So there's that issue. And then there's this incredibly cowardly thing happening where people then come out against Edward Snowden, who can't blow the whistle in a federal agency because then you get persecuted or prosecuted or killed. You've got more than 100 companies getting billions of dollars a year. Some companies are getting over $10 billion apiece, like the one he was working at, with all this spy data that then all these 800,000 contractors can get access to. And I've had some of these contractors on the show, big whistleblowers, just as big as this guy, on record and off record. We're digging back through them and getting them back on the show. And you can just dial into any system and do whatever you want with it. And that's been on the record as well. So what you have is them bringing this out now, but only covering a little bit of what Snowden's actually said, hoping the public thinks that it's then reasonable, while calling him a traitor or claiming he's a foreign agent. Well, I don't think he works for the Chinese or the Russians, but what about the globalists? We're always talking about Chinese, Russians, Iranians. What about the mega foreign banks, the corporate criminals, that if the crony capitalists that run our country? What about the Agenda 21 globalists? They're the people that took us over. They're the ones buying billions of bullets against us and training the police were the enemy. How do you deal with this corporate takeover? They're the ones that set up this. They're the foreign takeover arm. They're the enemy. If the Russians try to do anything to my Bill of Rights or Constitution, I'll come out against them. They had one of their hosts come out and do some pro-New World Order stuff and criticize me. And I went after RT, and they came out and apologized a few days later. I'll go after anybody messes with my republic, your republic. I'm like a dog, folks, chained up on the front porch. If you ain't mama, you ain't daddy, and you ain't the kids, you ain't coming in. I will bite anybody that tries to make me their slave. I mean, you got that? And let me tell you who is sitting on top of me, punching me in the nose. I'm like a dog, a pit bull, chained down with a spindly-necked New World Order goblin sitting here torturing my family in front of me. My family is America. My family is humanity. And I am just sitting there straining in the chains, trying to wake everybody else up so we can deal with these people. They are criminal scum of the earth that are so evil there's no way to even describe a micron of their admitted crimes. This government, every time it gets kids behind closed doors, does lethal medical experiments on them. I mean, the people that run America want to kill innocent children. Of course they're evil. Are the Russians corrupt? Undoubtedly. That's the nature of big government. Are the Chi-Coms corrupt? Unbelievably. I hate the communist government. I despise them working with all the slime bag globalist pigs like Al Gore with the worst factories in the world for Apple. I salute the Chinese people, 7,000 plus riots on record a year against tyranny. Cops kill some innocent person there, they burn down a city. Hadn't got enough fluoride in their water. The Chinese government's on the verge of falling. Globalists are trying to prop them up by giving them all our jobs. I want China to be free and link up with us. And I want Russia to be free and link up and be sovereign nations working together towards space bases, space platforms, life extension. We can all live a lot longer. There'll be room for us in space. Let's go. Let's use our resources now with a real plan. Not having a bunch of pedophiles and scum running everything who just want to rape children all day, and carpet bomb cities. I mean, come on. Let's go to Alpha Centauris. Let's do it. But first, we got to go through the New World Order. Your call's coming up. Stay with us. We know exactly what you're doing. We're identifying your illegal government. Ken Clark, who's, number 3 in the UK government, senior government minister, was summoned to Parliament. That's coming up. Bilderberg secrecy exposed during parliamentary debate. And he was reminded that it was illegal. And he said, oh, he'd forgotten about that. And it's all a big joke, and everyone laughs, but they had a 20-minute debate about it because they don't want the little slaves knowing that, you know, foreign megabank leaders and world royalty come in and basically organize the economy as they see fit. I'm going to go to Obama supporters right now. The toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231. If you're an Obama supporter, after I go to these calls, we'll open the phones up for everybody else. But what do you make after I take these calls about Iceland saying they may want to try to give amnesty to Snowden, House Speaker calling him a traitor? Man, nothing's traitorous. Going after our guns, opening the borders, giving $85 billion to foreign banks, all of this. It's only traitorous to expose illegal NSA spying against everybody. If that's treason, then I guess I'm for treason. No, that's treason against the mafia and their capo regime that's taken over this country. And I mean the globalist corporate mafia. Unbelievable. Disclosure on NSA spying alarms lawmakers, tech companies, and it goes on to say the big tech companies are really, really worried right now about their credibility, reports the London Guardian. Big internet names are in battle to salvage reputations over NSA leaks. And they hope that they can just point out, oh, it's just FISA. Just FISA's a tiny part of it. Amazing. Amazing. Truly amazing. I've got a lot of other news I want to get to as well. But let's go ahead right now and go to your phone calls. Steve in Colorado, you say you're a big Obama supporter. Go ahead.
Yeah, hello.
Yep.
I'm not necessarily a big Obama supporter, but I am supportive of some of his policies like this one of the NSA and maybe even the drone program.
Okay, so you're listening on KHNC 1360 AM that goes into Denver, great affiliate out there, longtime affiliate out there. I should have mentioned that. And I guess the fake right wing's really supporting him because they love drones and they love secret arrest and they love spying on. So you think this will keep the jihadis in check?
Well, like I told the screener, I got a little different twist on this. I'm one of the 56% that's in favor of it because I think it should be used or kept intact and used against them. Like get Rand Paul to head a commission to track all these phone calls like to Al Gore and from him and, you know, all the terrorists you're talking about.
Okay, now I see where you're going. But here's the issue with that. If you take their rights away, then we all lose our rights. And the Congress claims they don't even know how it works or who's doing it. And the NSA has been caught lying to Congress. They get in these big committee type deals under national security. And then everybody acts like they don't know what's happening as plausible to deniability. Nobody knows who robbed the bank, basically. It's buffers. This is all mafia techniques. And here's what I'm telling you, sir. It has come out that they are using the NSA. Remember when it came out they were using it against whistleblowers in the media, exposing Obama on corruption? They're using it on the Associated Press. They're using it on Infowars.com. They're using it so people can't expose crimes. It's illegal to just data grab everything and record everything and then put it into computers where these dozens of government agencies and over 100 contracting groups, 800,000 people in the U.S. alone, can just go in and listen to everything you're doing. Do you understand that this is a total takeover of our society? Do you see that?
Yeah, but why couldn't it be taken over by, like, Rand Paul and we the people, who's the real government, rather than they, the terrorists?
I hear you, sir, but, I mean, here's an article by Leanne McAdoo that just went up on Infowars.com, and I appreciate your call, that says, British police use anti-terror tactics to arrest protesters. The overkill of police presence threatens the legitimate right to protest, and they used anti-terror legislation on us to be able to suspend due process and things, and the police apologized about it, and it seemed to wake them up. But now, here's the London Guardian headline, anti-G8 protest headquartered in London, raided by riot police. And again, this is a great article by Leanne McAdoo, but I would go with the subheadline, anti-terror used to chill free speech, shut down protest. It's not overkill. It's designed to extinct protest. I mean, they've got Ministry of Defense report 2007 in Britain saying they wanted to do this to chill free speech because they knew society was being collapsed. But it's by design. It doesn't have to happen. Now, again, when I take these Obama supporter calls, I don't even know if they're serious or not. Let's talk to Matt in Pennsylvania. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going, Alex?
It's going all right, sir. Go ahead.
All right. I just want to point out some of the positive things that Obama has done. Here in Pennsylvania, for example, between the years of 2008 and 2010, we had over a 555% increase in natural gas production, which has brought a lot of jobs into our much-needed hurting economy.
That has nothing to do with Obama. He's trying to block that. So let me so hold on. If you let me ask you a question, because I hear this a lot. If you found 100 gold coins buried in your backyard from 1872 randomly, that happens all the time. And people find something buried by somebody that died, didn't tell folks where it was at. Would you attribute that to Obama? Would you attribute a sunny day to Obama?
No.
Okay, well, keep telling me everything Obama's doing.
Okay, well, for example, in Pennsylvania, again, we're going to have over 2 million women who will gain access to birth control without copay.
Well, yeah, the only thing free you're going to get or cheaper in that is abortion and eugenics. Absolutely, that's what it's all about.
Have you ever been
and underage access. And underage access. Absolutely. The state taking over the kids. That is something Obama has done for you. And they're increasing partial birth abortion funding to twist little babies' heads off everywhere outside the womb. So, yes, you're actually right.
Do you agree with the statement that there are people out there who shouldn't have their children?
The problem is they will use that precedent to say, I can't have my children. The state wants the healthy, happy kids.
Well, who doesn't want happy, healthy kids?
Sir, let me ask you a question. Do you understand this government has declassified over 2,000 programs, some of which had tens of thousands of people in them apiece, where they were killing U.S. troops and killing black people and killing poor people and releasing bioweapons on the Appalachians? Do you understand this government is run by psychotic killers?
How long ago was that?
It's ongoing. Project Shad was declassified in the 80s. It was ongoing, but it's a unified program, sir. You understand there's a shadow government run by mega banks who are eugenicists.
Does that include the David Icke reptilians?
Well, I don't believe in that.
Shapeshifters.
But that's a good subject. That's a good subject to change off into. Let me ask you a question, sir. What do you think of NSA illegal spying on people? It is illegal. That's admitted. What do you think about it?
I think it's good to an extent. For certain people that need to be watched.
So you think you're going to be safe by groveling to this system?
Let me ask you this. People are all up in arms about it, but then you have millions and millions of people on Facebook posting family pictures, posting everything else for everyone to see.
Well, the globalists said 20 years ago that they were going to come out with a system where the young people opted in. They said that we're going to get them to accept all this under status, under social interaction, and they rolled out and deployed.
Isn't it the free choice of the people to go on Facebook and do this?
Yes, and it's my free choice to point out that they lied to them and said they weren't sharing that info. Do you understand? They're giving it to the government despite denials. They lied to people, but you don't want to admit that we're in trouble, so you'll do anything to make excuses about it. You're not going to respond to that. Sir, let me ask you a question. Do you think I'm making it up that the U.S. forces... They went from 9% of world opium production to 93% in the last 10 years, and our troops bring in the fertilizer and guard the opium and then make sure it's shipped to market worldwide out of the major cities and transportation hubs of Afghanistan, because that's admitted. A, are you saying I'm lying? B, are you saying that it's a good thing?
I'm going to go with C. I don't believe that the war on drugs is constitutional.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, do you understand? They made it illegal so they can control the black market.
I understand. Yeah, I understand things are illegal, so they have control over, the whole market, so to speak.
But you still trust these people that ship smack in and then let them stand on the street corner selling it 1 mile from where I'm at. I can go show people selling smack in front of the police from Afghanistan, running it right in your daughter's veins. But this is a good government, though. We can really trust these people.
So you believe the people have the freedom to put whatever they want into their own
Listen,
bodies?
what they don't have is the freedom of the CIA to go kill drug dealers all over this country that are entrepreneurs and ship it in and run their gauntlet. I don't like those drug dealers, but by making it illegal, they give that type of scum a market. But the small percentage of drugs that are brought in by the cowboys, at least the cowboys are having to work. At least they don't sit up there and say they're not the drug dealers. The government is run by big banks that launder the drug money and get caught publicly and even run the drug aircraft. Do you feel safe living in a country like that, where it's an open secret? Okay, will you type into a search engine DynCorp Halliburton sex slavery?
DynCorp Halliburton sex slavery?
Yeah, I mean, you'll read Chicago Tribune, you name it. I mean, do you understand, sir, how brutal this is? Do you understand that few other governments in modern history have been this evil? This government is as evil as Satan himself, sir. This government is so evil it will make your head spin, okay?
And that's how Obama's trying to change that.
Oh, my God. You do not believe this. I mean, you're not really saying that. Obama is light-yearing this stuff. He is turbocharging it. It has moved into warp speed under him. I appreciate your call. Oh, God, what did I say? I'd take these people's calls. Let's go to another one. Let's talk to Frank in New York. That was a real Obama supporter you just heard, folks. Frank, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, how you doing, Alex?
I'm not doing good, man. I just fight the instinct to get out of here as fast as possible and move to some forgotten place somewhere. I just cannot handle it anymore. Go ahead.
Yeah, listen, I'm not a big Obama supporter, but listen, it's the 21st century, and of course, these people are going to use their capabilities to the fullest and spy on us. You know what I mean?
Oh, God. I don't understand the Stockholm Syndrome where people just say, well, that's just the way it is. It's a felony. Congress has always acted like they didn't know that it was going on. Congress voted for all this. They're all complicit. Rand Paul's saying, arrest whoever did this. God bless him. Listen, they're using it against the Tea Party. They're using it against the pro-lifers. They're using it against the press.
I'm not surprised. Are you surprised?
The point is, I knew. I exposed it. I've been covering this for 17 years, since I had telecommunications people. That's my problem, is I don't ever even realize. We had a Defense Department whistleblower on last year who gave us all his documents, his proof, everything. A senior federal officer. He came on. He called in. I said, I want your proof. He gave it to us. He came on. He's not even in our database now. I'm trying to remember who he was last year. That's how overworked I am to get him back on now that all this came out. And then it was as big as the story is right now, but they never covered it. That's what I mean. And people think if they, like, say, are you surprised? Okay, are you upset they're putting cancer viruses in your vaccines?
Yeah, I didn't know about that, but if that's true, yeah, it would be.
Yeah, you better look into it, bud. They want to murder you and your family. Do you think that's something you might want to get a little bit upset about? Or is it like, because, you know, that's all coming out now, and they're going to say, are you surprised? Well, I guess there are too many people. Maybe, well, Congress isn't making it official. They'll now give you a shot to kill you. I mean, you know, what does it take, folks? What does it take to get out of this normalcy bias? So you think Obama's a lesser of two evils?
I didn't vote for Obama.
All right, I appreciate your call, Frank. I don't know what you're talking about. We're taking calls from Obama supporters. Rob in Michigan, you're on the air. Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, Alex. I'm just calling in. I voted twice for the president in 2008. I was very enchanted by his campaign promises, and I really thought that this was going to be a change. So I was very, very much for it the first time around. The second term, I was a little bit getting less enchanted, and I felt he was the lesser of two evils. But over the last 6 months, since I've been listening to your show, I've been more critical of what comes out in the media and doing my own research, and I really feel that there's something nefarious going on with our government, and it's trickling.
Well, there's nothing. I mean, it's well known. They are ending the free market economy, planning the controlled implosion, and making us all poor, and taking all the middle class's money to give it to offshore banks that are tax exempt and above the law to radically transform everything forever, so you're on government welfare so they can control your life. I mean, that's called Agenda 21. That's the plan.
And you're right. And now, because I've been doing more research and becoming more unplugged, I'm trying to tell other people. But there's a brick wall that I run into, because, especially in my community, people think he can do no wrong. And, even though there's no substantial proof of anything, are you better off than you were 4 years ago?
Well, no, really. They associate their personal power with him, and with reflected glory of a puppet, feel like, again, it's just recognizing he's a puppet globalist and being used to push an agenda. You stall him, you stall the whole agenda. Instead, now the Republicans are trying to prop him up, going, it's good to spy on you. It's disgusting. It's everything
You're right, because I couldn't believe when I looked on online this morning that what Boehner was saying, calling that guy a terrorist. I don't see how he's a terrorist when he's trying to alert the American people.
It's illegal. They could all go to jail for it. Peter King's been involved in these national security votes. He's involved. If anybody should go to jail, it's the people involved in this. It's Petraeus, to Wired Magazine. Oh, your appliances watch and listen to you. I mean, when we come back, we're going to talk about trolling the NSA straight ahead. Your phone calls, too. You see, America has gotten to that critical point like a frog in a boiling pot. If you put it in cold water, slowly turn it up, it will sit there until it dies. You throw a frog in hot boiling water, the Louisiana folks figured this out a long time ago, it'll jump. That's an old Louisiana saying. That's when the frog would jump right out. But you put them in there when it's cold, turn it up, and they'll just slowly heat up and die. We're kind of getting to the point now where we're going, wow, this water is starting to boil. And I am starting to get lightheaded, and man, the NSA is spying on us, and it's in the news. The government brings in the cocaine and the heroin and launders the money, and it's true they're torturing people, and it's true they run Al-Qaeda, but maybe it's for our own good. Maybe this is just a hot tub we're in, not a boiling pot. If you go that direction, it's over. Now, look at this Daily Mail article. It's up on Infowars.com. Operation Troll the NSA starts up online, with a plan to jam spy scanners by sending the same terrorist message over and over again. Let me give the hackers a message, okay? And again, it's on this screen. You guys can punch it up. It's on this computer right here. Thank you. Okay? Again, that's the Daily Mail. It's on this computer right here. I'm trying to get this up on television so everybody can see it. There it is. Let me explain to everybody the problem with this. Number one, they're not scanning for terrorist messages. They pray every day that real terrorists will attack because we and others have exposed them. And it's very hard for them to stage stuff now and not get caught. What the NSA is scanning for is medical breakthroughs, companies that have made their own developments so they can SWAT team raid them using different regulations to steal their information. Number two, even if you jam them with the same terrorist message, all they do is knock that keyword out and then just separate all that out in the data strands. I've talked to the top IT people, the people that have worked at the NSA, outside the NSA at telecoms. That's how that is. If somebody's trying to hack us with some message, we just block that message. This is ridiculous. This is a joke. They're saying use the word ricin and bomb. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Plan to test system by sending a message full of terrorism words to NSA. The NSA is spying on whistleblowers and people in the military that are going to go public about hit teams, government drug dealing, child porn, stuff like that. And that's why thousands of troops have been killed in suicides. A lot of them aren't committing suicide. It's Army, Marine Corps investigators, other people, they get suicided. You try to stop the gravy train of satanic evil, you're killed. The NSA, on record, I told you this a decade ago, it's now public, is they're watching the media, watching the military, watching FBI, watching CIA, watching the good guys. Dark side forces watch the light side to find out if the light side is finding out about them. The NSA is there to protect evil. The NSA is there to protect terrorists. Our government runs Al-Qaeda publicly. And so, again, Operation Troll the NSA. I mean, this is an absolute government disinformation campaign. This is not real, and we need to do a real article. If people really want to know, I can tell my reporters how it's done, and we can tell them how to screw them up. You sit there and you have a conversation with your wife about how you discovered the local police selling kilos of cocaine to school kids. You're going to get a police visit. You're going to get your house raided. So don't do that. The point is it's all a joke, okay? The government's there to protect murderers and scum and killers. If you haven't figured that out yet, it's there to protect a government that since the 1920s has done thousands of programs murdering foster children, okay? Feeding them pesticides till they die. Hey, I know why Bloomberg doesn't like the show on the air. They got a big article out, Bloomberg did, bemoaning that XM carries this show. They're scared to death. All right, we're back live taking your phone calls. I got a bunch of audio and video clips I haven't even gotten to yet. I haven't gotten into the whole Bloomberg piece with a bizarre headline attacking us. Just unbelievably ridiculous what's going on. So that is coming up as well. Just briefly, remember infidelbodyarmor.com has some of the best priced, high-quality body armor that stops unlimited rounds, basically. Chromatic only stops 6 rounds. What about the 7th? Stops hundreds of rounds from AK-47, M4, 30-06, 308, and more. Infidelbodyarmor.com. One word, infidelbodyarmor.com, or 888-608-6605, 888-608-6605, infidelbodyarmor.com. Don't forget efoodsdirect.com/Alex to find their weekly and monthly specials on just amazingly high-quality, clean, non-GMO, storable foods. efoodsdirect.com/Alex. You can go there as well and find out more. And those are the sponsors that support this broadcast and make it possible. Let's jam a call in this short segment. Bob in Texas, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Alex, how are you today?
I'm not good. I mean, I'm on the air saying the government's run by murdering child molesters, and they're running narcotics into the country, and they're laundering drug money, and they're totally evil, and they're building FEMA camps. And then I go to break going, man, that sounds too radical, but it's true. And it's like, how much are we going to put up with and take here, sir?
Well, to a large extent, I agree with you, Alex. The only thing I kind of disagree with you on is I feel like Obama or the president, whoever that might be at the time, is pretty much the lightning rod. And people need to understand they need to be in touch with their local representatives, their senators, their congressmen, their state representatives. They need to have their feelings known. So many people do not call their representatives. They don't let them know what their thoughts are about what's going on up there in the government. And Mr. Obama or Mr. Bush is simply a lightning rod, and it distracts attention away from the Congress, who funds all this, Alex.
Well, I agree. Congress is playing dumb and going, we didn't know they were spying on everybody, but the guy that released this needs to be arrested. It's all in the Telecommunications Act of 96. It's all there. And then people say, well, they're spying on us for our safety. They know best, like they're our parents. No, they're a bunch of foreign, ruthless corporations that are totally inbred and sick. And we're in danger, man. We're in danger. It's dangerous. That's what I'm getting at here.
I agree with you completely on that, but I'm just, sometimes I think people lose focus. You know, you can write the White House and you can go to the White House website. They probably don't even listen to all that stuff. But I guarantee you, if you call your representative and you let their office know, like once a week, I go through and I'll make notes during the week of all the points I want to make with them. And on Friday, I call my senator and I call my congressman and I let them know exactly how I feel about these things. People aren't doing that. And these lobbyists are going in there, and they're the ones that are getting all the influence.
I agree. Government's here to intimidate people. They now on the buses in Austin, I want to get some photos of this. I was driving the other day, and it was driving past me, so I was unable to get it because I didn't want to wreck. But they have huge buses now with wraps on them, you know, the graphics of code enforcers in police uniforms. And I've seen the code enforcers messing with my neighbors, my parents' neighbors, and I videotaped them, and they kind of bowed up to me. I haven't put that video out yet. I've just been so busy. I've got a phone full of stuff. But the point is that everywhere, it's about government slitting their eyes at you, looking at you like you're a perpetrator, to then guilt you into letting them dominate you, and I'm done. Confront them, get in their face everywhere. Government is a bunch of scum. I'm done. I'm done. I just absolutely want to just puke all over these people. I appreciate your call. Go ahead. What?
Well, Alex, encourage people to get on their representatives. I tell you, I talked with one person in the office there, and they figure for every person that calls, there's 10,000 people just like you that didn't call.
I agree. We're going to come back with more phone calls. Stay with us. Key news straight ahead on Bilderberg and more. All right, we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, into hour number 3. Monday through Friday, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. We're here back Sundays, 4 to 6 p.m. Central. And, I mean, it's now just all over the news. The government runs Al-Qaeda. And then it's all over the news. They ship the drugs in, and it's all over the news. The foreign banks run the government, and they're totally ruthless, and they do secret experiments on us, killing troops, killing foster kids, injecting black people with syphilis, letting them spread it over 47 years. Nobody gets in trouble. Nobody goes to jail. They're spying on everybody. And then the mass Stockholm Syndrome public, 56% in the poll, if you believe it, more like probably 25% because it's a push poll, but I think it's good to keep me safe. Naive idiots. And they're the reason this is happening. And you can kiss the prosperity and everything goodbye. And I can't even watch the narcissist in Hollywood anymore and just all the petty people out there and all of the vain people. But it's so good to go protest Bilderberg and have 3,000 people there. It's so good to see the police waking up. I should be more positive. I get in these really dark, negative moods sometimes just because all I do is think about this stuff. And then it just gets worse and worse. And then I see a video clip. This was on Sunday, Obama in a press conference, saying, if you can't trust us, we're going to have a problem. Super creepy. And then I see all this vitriol from the Republicans and Democrats saying that Edward Snowden, who walked away from $200,000+ a year, saying, look, we spy on everybody. And everything he said, I already know. It's already public. Why doesn't the CIA director go to jail for saying your dishwasher is watching and listening to you? That's true. Your smart meter is watching you. It's a good thing, though. See, he said it was a good thing, so it's okay to release something that's classified. But it's, if you're a technician and saying, man, they're lying, they watch everything. Because, see, they want to come out and admit they're doing it, but they go, oh, no, we're not. They want to condition you, and then when you say, hey, don't spy on me, we're not doing that, tinfoil hat man. And I saw all these articles this morning going, Alex Jones is getting a lot of credibility now that they admit we're spying on us, but it's good to be spied on. And take your tinfoil hats off and, just let them spy. It's insane. These ruthless corporations will shut and are shutting everything down. All the U.S.-based businesses that aren't globalist are being shut down right now. The jobs are disappearing. It's all going to low-wage stuff. And it's so sad to see this happen. It makes me sick. And then we force Bilderberg out in the open, and then they just make jokes all over the media. The kooks found the secret group, and okay. The main minister, Ken Clark, like number 3 in the British government, they're making jokes about it. Sure, it's illegal what he did. It violates their federal law, but so what? Ha, 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 ha. let's go to this clip of Obama talking about how they are spying on us for our own good. And then he goes off into CISPA, he goes off into FISA and goes off into these warrants. Those are rubber stamp warrants, every one of them approved, which are just for mass dragnets. But that's only when they want to use something. They're already spying on everything, just like the AP. And then when they want to go after a whistleblower and prosecute them for exposing government corruption, which is supposed to be protected, then they go and they get the rubber stamp warrant to then go into all the communications they already have. And again, they use this so that the criminals are spying on everyone. It's the only way the criminals can get away with this. I mean, I've seen it in Esquire. Speaking of Esquire, I've seen a bunch of articles over the years where the state police or locals will know, they'll get a tip that they're going to bring in, 10 tons of cocaine into Miami. In one famous case, the aircraft lands, but NSA had gotten word. It had been passed through the channels, and the DEA, the FBI, and the CIA were there to as the sting happened, stop everybody, and then say national security and take the cocaine. I mean, these are Air Force pilots bringing this stuff in. And I've interviewed Terry Reid, who was at MENA with the Bushes and Clinton, who they now call a member of their family. I've interviewed all these people. I've interviewed, he's on record, was CIA. He's on record, was there. He's on record, all of that. I told you, I've had a few family members that did work who were Army officers. And it's funny, like everyone I know in my family that was in the CIA, which is not a big deal. That's like saying I had family that worked for Coca-Cola. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of people that are actual operatives or agents, and then hundreds of thousands on top of that as auxiliary. But I've had family that actually worked in the CIA on the dirty end of things, the muscle end of things. And, they're like, you will not believe how evil it is. America is run by the bad guys. Let's just get that straight. The only way we have to turn it around, the family I have that's been in the CIA says, you're absolutely on target and I can't believe you're alive. That's all I'm going to tell you. And then I get told by other family that, where they've opened up. It's just like, okay, you're not going to be a full member of the CIA. This is somebody who'd already been an Army officer for like 15 years at the time. You've done all this stuff for us. Now you're going to go kill these people in Chicago. And then he went and said, I'm not doing this. That's another lie, too, that no one gets out of it. Most people say, I'm not going to be part of this. 54% of CPS workers, last time I saw the statistic, quit the CPS within 1 year. They go thinking they're going to help kids. They go thinking they're going to stop abusive parents, and that is going on. They go really wanting to help people. And they go, you mean we're here to drug kids and give them psychological designations to put them on a bunch of drugs to get more money? And then a bunch of you are pedophiles? I'm going to blow the whistle. No, you're not. Nobody's going to help you. 54% of CPS workers quit within the first year. Guys, just see from my memory, I know that was like 4 years ago, type in more than 50% of social workers quit within 1 year, or 51% of children's social workers quit within 1 year. I've seen some numbers higher. The point is, I'm not just throwing these numbers out of the, out of a hat or something. And the argument they use for Delta Force and all these other guys is, we've got to be more evil than the evil guys. End justifies the means. And people that agree to that, they actually take tests where they're asked all this, psychological test, out of Green Berets, out of Navy SEALs, out of all, and there's like 3 groups above Delta Force. That's highly classified, what I just told you. People that are in there going, how does he know all this? I know all this stuff, okay? I'm not playing games here. And the point is that they actually tell them, we've got to run the drugs or someone else will. We've got to run the little kids or someone else will. Brzezinski wrote in one of his books, I forget which one, I read it like 15 years ago. What did he write? He wrote, The Technotronic Age. Was it that one or was it the point is he brags in there that oh, we control all the organized crime through the Trilateral Commission and other global groups because that's how we keep it down and control it. If we don't control it, I mean, that's a total con game, folks. That's like they told the troops, we're going to grow the opium now so Al-Qaeda doesn't get it. And then it goes from 9% of world supply to 93% of world supply within a few years. And the world is just flooded with heroin now. That is the naivete that I'm talking about here. Stop it. Stop it. Stop being naive. Stop it. We're all in grave danger. I'm in grave danger. I can feel the wings of the angel of death flapping around me. God's in control, though. I don't have any fear except of failure and not doing a good enough job. I hate myself every minute I'm on this show. I'm not getting it all across. I don't do a perfect job. I wish I would have done a better job with that BBC guy. But it'll all turn towards good in the end. I get in there, they're laughing at me. It's all a big joke to them. And I'm like, listen here, this isn't a joke. They're poisoning the water supply. Here's the Harvard study. We should be upset about that. They're killing us. We should take it personal. Let's play this Obama clip. Here it is.
That's not to suggest that you just say, trust me. We're doing the right thing. We know who the bad guys are. And the reason that's not how it works is because we've got congressional oversight and judicial oversight. And if people can't trust not only the executive branch, but also don't trust Congress and don't trust federal judges.
God, look at these people.
To make sure that we're abiding by the Constitution, due process, and rule of law, then we're going to have some problems here.
Oh.
But my observation is that the people who are involved in America's national security, they take this work very seriously. They cherish our Constitution. The last thing they'd be doing is taking programs like this to listen to somebody's phone calls.
Oh, yeah, they're not doing that. I mean, they're on record using it to persecute whistleblowers and the Associated Press and others. I have been called repeatedly, and so is my wife, by people saying, okay, just, you just talked about this. Now I'm going to threaten you with this. I mean, they're listening. The public is so incredibly naive about this. And now here's a known liar trying to gut the Bill of Rights Constitution. He's going to sign the UN Arms Treaty to not let us ship guns out of the country or in. They're going after our guns. They're going after the entire Constitution. And he says, just trust us. Trust that load of criminals. And then he says, trust federal judges. It's the telecoms. It's all wired in. We're going to come back with Robert Baer of the CIA demonizing the hero whistleblower. And then we're going to get to a Bilderberg clip. Monday through Friday, we're here, folks. I'm your host, Alex Jones. I got so many clips I've got to go through and your calls. So I want to move quick here, but this article just went up on Infowars.com. We need to get it out to everybody. Ron Paul, when you have a dictatorship, truth becomes treasonous. Those who sacrifice liberty for security deserve neither. And he was on the Piers Morgan Slimebag show. Asked if he considered NSA contractor turned whistleblower Edward Snowden a hero, Paul answered, well, he's done a great service because he's telling the truth, and this is what we're starved for. The American people are starved for the truth. And again, it's illegal to spy on us without warrants. Snowden's actions, first reported by the UK's Guardian newspaper and next the Washington Post, have come under fierce scrutiny by members of both sides of the political divide. Now they are labeling him traitor and treasonous. We're going to play some of those clips coming up in the next segment. But right now, let's go to Robert Baer on Snowden in the demonization, claiming he could work for the communist Chinese. The globalists like Kissinger and the Bilderberg Group have moved our jobs, our factories, everything to China, shut down our factories here with regulations. They moved GM to China with the bailout money. And then they're talking about he must work for the Chinese. The globalists gave them the Panama Canal, all our deep water ports. We're being sold out. They're our biggest owner of our debt, the Federal Reserve. But then, oh, let us take your rights. The Chinese will get you. When they're globalists above the governments playing us off against each other. I was talking to an executive who was interviewing the head of, a Chinese telecom, their big internet provider. And he was basically saying this high-powered guy, actually a famous guy I was on the plane with flying back, well-known guy I was flying back with, you know, friends with George Bush, all that stuff yesterday on American Airlines from Dallas. And he was like, yeah, I know it's true at the top of the pyramid. It's the same people. We're merging with China. And they're using regulations to shut down business here to transfer it there. It's a bad thing. It's like the general public has no idea what's going on. If you're globalist fat cats, you use regulations to shut down your competition and then move it to China. And then when people say, hey, don't do that, you go, what, do you work for the communists, huh? You traitor? I've been saying our government's using Al-Qaeda to attack Syria, and the thing is, he must work for Iran, you know, he's for the Iranians because he don't want to take over Syria. It's all a load of bull, man. I support common sense and due process and don't attack somebody first and don't put Al-Qaeda in to kill all the Christians and people. I mean, this is sick. Look at what the globalists do in other countries. That's what they do here if they could. Look at what they do when they're in charge places. Let's go to this creepy clip of, I want to call Bear. I challenge Bear to come on here and say this type of bull on my show. He's been on here before. Here's the CIA Black Ops commander trying to imply this guy works for the Chi-Coms. Here it is.
Here's the problem is that Hong Kong is controlled by Chinese intelligence. It's not an independent part of China at all. You know, I've talked to a bunch of people in Washington today in official positions, and they're looking at this as a potential Chinese espionage case.
Well, of course they're going to say that.
I'm not saying this because I disagree or agree with it. You know, PRISM is necessarily a good thing or this whole program. It's simply that it was unwise of him to go to Hong Kong to do this. On the face of it, it looks like it's under some sort of Chinese control, especially with the president meeting the premier today. You have to ask what's going on. I mean, China is not a friendly country, and every aspect of that country is controlled. So why Hong Kong? Why didn't he go to Sweden? Or if he really wanted to make a statement, he should have done it on Capitol Hill. I mean, you know, we don't know yet, but you can count on it. The FBI and the CIA is looking at this now as a potential counterintelligence problem.
Oh, yeah. Keep us so safe. By the way, let's expand on this.
Finding refuge there would make it very difficult for the United States to actually...
Whenever you're ready, just turn the clip off. All right. The issue here, ladies and gentlemen, is that, again, they are engaged in illegal spying against the American people. This is targeted domestic groups. They know everything the Chi-Coms are doing. They let the Chi-Coms build backdoor kill switches and all the defense hardware. I mean, they gave nuclear reactors, the Clintons and others did, along with Donald Rumsfeld at ABB, to North Korea, because they're globalists playing the countries off against each other. And it's that simple. And Bear is meant to come out and sound like he's being reasonable. Why didn't he go to Sweden? What, so someone would just say that he'd raped a woman so they could arrest him that way? The guy's not stupid. And the smartest place for him to go probably would be Russia. The problem is they'll just make a deal later to kill him, because the Russians are just as corrupt as the globalists that run the New World Order. Don't make any mistake about that. But the Russians aren't running my country. See, that's the difference. That's right. They're watching you. Like you've done something wrong, but you try to go down to San Antonio at their giant NSA base that looks like something out of a science fiction movie, and the police will come out and try to arrest you and threaten you. They didn't work with our reporters, but with the San Antonio Express News and people, they do grab their cameras and stuff because they apologize and grovel. We go, this is a public street, and it's well known this is an NSA facility. You're committing crimes. And then the cops don't have the moral authority and feel weird and shut down and leave you alone. But when you grovel, they take everything and sometimes take you to jail. They've lost federal court cases. I sent my crew down there with the federal court case. When the cops came over and said, stop filming, give me your info, they went, here's a news article about you losing a federal court case at the NSA base in Maryland. I would advise you to leave us alone. And then they come back and go, okay, you can go. That's right, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't that right? We know what you're doing with that big base. You're making sure evil can play God and has godlike omnipresent surveillance grid so you can hurt good people. That's what you're doing, scumbags. I know what you're doing to innocent people. You're going to go to hell. You understand that? I see every damn thing you're doing, and I know what you're doing. You make me want to throw up. Excuse me. I'm going to settle down right there. I'm not going to blow up. I'm going to settle down right there. God sees what you're doing. You understand that? The people of the world see what you're doing. We know who you are, okay? I know who you are, and that's why you don't like me. I see you. How do you like that? I see what a bunch of sicko filth you are, you trash. You think you're going to have this country like you've done other countries? You aren't going to get nothing. You understand that, you filthy trash? Excuse me. Sick of watching them persecute innocent people. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of a bunch of crooks running wild. We're all in danger, and I'm angry about it, and I'm tired of watching it. Oh, God. Oh, there's only so much I can handle with these people. I mean, I think about all the horrible things they do to innocent people, and I just want it to stop. I want it to stop. I want everybody to stop going along with this. I want to turn back to liberty. And you know what? They are. There's more abortionists in Texas that are killing babies out on the table that are 9 months old. The legislature's moving to indict their butt, moving to get Houston to make indictments. It's all going to happen, okay? I'm telling you. And I salute everybody that's going after the murderers and the criminals. And I salute everybody in the system that is fighting for justice, okay? But we all need to get aggressive. Good people are not wimps. We're 10 times more powerful than every one of these little evil cowards. And I'm sick of watching them run wild over our country. I'm going to get to Ron Paul when you have a dictatorship, truth becomes treasonous in a minute. But first, look at this article. Bilderberg conspiracies are absolute nonsense. Ken Clark insists after being called to Parliament over secret meetings. He's number 3 in the British government, and he's on the Bilderberg steering committee. Think about that. He's on the Bilderberg steering committee. Can you guys punch up this computer right here? Thanks. Fantastic. Now, I've got 2 computers in here now. Maybe we should just pick one. Maybe we'll have this be the computer we go to then? Thanks. And it continues, Bilderberg conspiracies are absolute nonsense. Ken Clark insists after being called to Parliament over secret meetings. And there's like 20-something minutes of this. It's in Paul Watson's article about it. But, of course, they attack me in the article. Disruption, it says. Alex Jones protesting from his barge, challenging security measures surrounding the event. How dare I do that? The incredible evil of it all. And then here I am on the BBC exposing secret experimentation. Because before me they go, Alex Jones believes they're putting poison in the water. And they cut to me going, ah, ha, 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 ha. Then I go, well, here's the Harvard study. And he goes, I didn't ask you that. Well, I'm countering it. And so that's why I blew up at him. But the whole point is they try to make all this a joke, and then they say, oh, it's not good to get upset. Let me tell you, we're effective because we do get upset. People are in a learned helplessness, normalcy bias, mass Stockholm syndrome system. The globalists brag about this. I'm not. And let me tell you, I'm freaked out, folks. My life's on the line. My family's life's on the line. And that's why I get so viciously angry sometimes. Because, man, I really care about innocent people. And I really care about all the evil being done in our name, and I'm freaked out. I mean, the stuff that's in the news, and then to see people going, well, good, spy on me, I'm not bad. They're bad. Everything they do, they make secret, and they say, we have no privacy. The founder said, if that happens, you're in trouble, because it already had happened throughout history, and everywhere else it's happened since then it's been bad. We know where this road goes. We know putting a gun to your head and pulling the trigger, with a bullet in it, with a cartridge in it, is going to really hurt. We know it isn't a good thing. And then I read this Bloomberg hit piece. Bloomberg, Alex Jones' free speech causes terrorism. Deceptive hit piece insinuates Jones bears responsibility for Boston bombings. Doesn't insinuate, it says Alex Jones doesn't build bombs, he builds bombers. I'm the one trying to stop the fake terror attacks against, the New World Order bombs a bunch of joggers. I ran into a bunch of Sikhs British military guys. You know, they've got their own Sikh brigades over there, going back to the famous East India regiments. Some of those guys came out. And I tell you, the cops were really freaked out by those guys being there because those guys are known as being pretty macho. And they said, I want to thank you from India. It was, once you exposed the fact that the bombings were being carried out by Hindu extremists, you know, then the head of the secret police went public and they killed him that day. And it's now been in our news and no more bombing since. Thank you. I mean, you go to the Indian papers, it's now admitted the government did it all. Italy, they finally admitted the government did it all with NATO. No more bombings. I mean, it's in the Italy newspapers. All I'm doing is, hey, this is Operation Gladio. They had it drilled. They stood down. Now they're killing the FBI and killing the witnesses and everybody. I mean, the brothers work for the CIA. That came out. I told you everything that would come out. They'll kill the witnesses. They'll work for the CIA. They're going to set up the patsies. And by the way, those guys were part of it in the drill, I believe. They were going to blame it on right-wingers, and then they changed the story. They said it's right-wingers. We've made the arrest. It will be made. But we then released the photos by the grace of God, the photos that were already out. We focused on them in the drill, and they freaked out. And now they might kill me. I'm going to be really honest with you. I'll tell you why I'm really freaked out, folks. I know in my gut that they are sitting back, and there have been discussions undoubtedly about whacking yours truly. I will guarantee you they got their finger on the trigger. It's being debated. And some other agency or group might just say, I'm sick of that guy, do it. Well, you know what? You know what? Whatever happens, happens because I'm in God's hands, and I'm not going to stop. So just understand that, because all I got to think about is what you're doing to innocent people all over the world. And it's not some heroic thing. I will stand up for the children of the world you people are hurting. I will stand up for the women. I will stand up for the men that can't protect themselves. I will stand up for them. You understand that? Because I want people to stand up for me and my family. We all stand together and we hang separate. You got that? And we have been able to force Bilderberg out in the open. By the way, the police, and then I talked off record to, let's just say, someone in British intelligence, and these people were for real, and they said, look, we don't like, most of us, what's going on. We know you're right. Because everywhere I went, it was incredible. And they said, by the way, Bilderberg's under tremendous pressure. They will go public on BBC. At least one, maybe two, blah, blah, blah. We're just telling you that so you understand that we've, you know, and we don't like what's going on, and we know about blah, 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 and we know about what they're doing to kids, and I mean, it's all over the news there about what the devil worship groups do to little kids, and the kids come up missing everywhere. I mean, it's just a nightmare. And to have the cops, like more than 60% of them that I talked to were awake and knew what was going on and were upset about what's happening. You notice we broke all that. The system better know, folks, that they've gotten away with this stuff because their evil is so over the top. But once people finally get, oh, wait a minute, the evil was real. It was over the top, but it was real. It's game over. And so the Lord does work in mysterious ways, as they say. And we have been able to force it out in the open now. And I've talked a lot about that, but here is a clip of the number 3 in the Tory government, number 3 in the so-called conservative government, Prime Minister one as well, up there being confronted about what he did was illegal. Now, the Treasury Secretary, because they have 2 big parties, so it was the shadow secretary, because you know, the out-of-power party also gets to be like part of the Treasury, Exchequer. Balls, that's not a joke name, folks, that's his name. I confronted him before I went live when he was coming off during the break about how he was breaking the law. So did Paul Watson. I mean, this is big breaking news. And I'm very thankful to DrudgeReport.com for linking to that yesterday and getting that out in the national, international media, DrudgeReport.com. Because believe me, they don't want this being discussed. So here he is admitting in Parliament, Ken Clark, that indeed, he'd forgotten it was against the law. Here's that clip.
Can the Minister confirm he declared his trusteeship of the body that funds the conference to his permanent secretary when he was appointed by the Prime Minister?
I congratulate the honourable member. I am looking that up because I had forgotten that I'm actually a member of a steering committee. When we were hosting at Watford, I discovered I was actually, amongst other things, I'm a trustee of the British steering group, so I am checking with the aid of my constituency whether I ever put that in. Did I assure the honourable member? I had completely forgotten that it was set up on that basis long before the rules were established. The trustees have never met as trustees. All I actually do is sit as a member of a committee and help to play my part in the organisation of a meeting, and that's all I've ever done.
Mr. Edward Lee. We've had a bit of fun today, and indeed, who would want to spend a weekend of irredeemable tediousness with a bunch of establishment toffs discussing the world economics?
It's so funny. We've been forced to cover this.
But the serious point is this, surely, and I put this to my right honourable friend, why on earth does the House of Commons think it's necessary to discuss what's said in a private meeting anyway?
Perhaps my right honourable friend wasn't here when I started. This is the first time I've ever risen in the House of Commons to answer questions on behalf of a private organisation for which the British government has absolutely no responsibility whatever.
Mr. Philip Davis.
Speaker, I know I can't be described as a rising star, and so... Should I not presume that my invitation was lost in the post? But can the minister explain to us whether or not, either formally or informally, he took the opportunity whilst there to discuss his campaign to keep the UK within the European Union, and which members of the European Union were actually at this particular conference?
Oh. Well, firstly, you would not be surprised to know that I don't think I'm being too indiscreet to say that the subject of the future of the European Union and Britain's participation in it did come up from time to time in the weekend.
That's enough.
From many countries.
There's 20 minutes of it in Paul Watson's article on the subject, Bilderberg secrecy exposed during parliamentary debate, if you want to see that. Let me now move to the clip I was talking about earlier. Ron Paul, when you have a dictatorship, truth becomes treasonous. Those who sacrifice liberty for security deserve neither. And he's on there with former CIA Director Woolsey, who I actually saw on UTTV 10 years ago say we should put millions of people in concentration camps in America. In fact, I've got that clip somewhere. Mike Hansen shot video of it. I mean, this is the type of insanity with these ghouls who play the part of, oh, we're all secret, and we got unlimited money, and we can do whatever we want because we're the good guys. Just trust us. I mean, even if your kids aren't psychotic killers, you're going to tell your 15-year-old, stay out as late as you want, take the car, have the bank account, do whatever you want. I mean, it would be a disaster with almost everybody. But, oh, let's just trust globalists. And we have trusted them, and they've stolen everything. And they've signed us on to $1.5 quadrillion in debt. So let's go to Ron Paul. Again, the full video is up on Infowars.com right now. Here it is.
Thank you for joining me. You are a supporter of Edward Snowden and his actions. Why?
Why?
Well, from what I hear and what he's done, I mean, he's done a great service because he's telling the truth, and this is what we are starved for. The American people are starved for the truth. And when you have a dictatorship or an authoritarian government, truth becomes treasonous. And this is what they do. If you are a whistleblower, or if you're trying to tell the American people that our country is destroying our rule of law and destroying our Constitution, they turn it on, they say, oh, you're committing treason. So this is a big problem. And to expect any changes without an announcement like this, things keep getting worse. They've gotten worse steadily for the past 10 years. So essentially there is no Fourth Amendment anymore. And for somebody to tell the American people the truth is a heroic effort. And he knows that it's very risky. He knows he's committing, civil disobedience, and he knows that he could get punished. But he believes very sincerely, I'm sure, I've never met the man, but he believes very seriously that what our government is doing to us is so serious that somebody has to speak out.
That's right.
And I think the large majority of American people are sick and tired of hearing how many people are having surveillance on them, whether it's their phones, their internet, and
that's
email,
right, that's good.
And everything else.
Full clip up on Infowars.com. It's like 14 minutes long. But the issue is We know they're using it against the press. See, now that this other stuff's come out, no one is pointing that out. No one is pointing out that it's being used against political enemies. No one's pointing out. And who are political enemies? Anybody that cares about freedom. Anybody that exposes the globalist. Anybody that exposes the New World Order. Anybody that exposes any of this stuff. Now, let's go to this next article, and I'll come back and take some phone calls. This is up on Infowars.com. I don't have time to go over the whole thing, but Bloomberg, Alex Jones, free speech causes terrorism. And the article goes on to say, a deceptive Bloomberg hit piece portrays Alex Jones as recruiting aid for terrorists, insinuating that his website motivated the Boston bombers. Well, they actually have quotes in there saying, I build bombers. In a transparent lobbying effort to get Jones kicked off the air of SiriusXM. Yeah, they got a hold of the president of SiriusXM, and we're like, how dare you have him on? How dare you? We need to get him off. Entitled, Alex Jones sells gold on Sirius with bombing conspiracies. Well, that had nothing to do with selling gold. So the thing is, I'm telling lies. Say he tells lies to make money. I mean, if anything was ever libel, slander, purposeful defamation, this article, when I read it, it's just like, but I mean, Bloomberg, they already discredit themselves. Bloomberg's just mad I'm exposing all his anti-American activities. And so, I mean, it's a joke. You guys are out of political bullets. Okay? I mean, it's just, as far as I'm concerned, you're a pathetic scum. When we take this country back, you will be brought to justice. Yeah, the number, I said billions of phone calls. That's billions of people worldwide being spied on. It was 20 trillion phone calls were intercepted. The NSA has basically admitted since October 2001, that's when the Telecommunications Act went into law. It was passed in 96, but they had 5 years to get it all in place. So you notice now you go read articles, even mainstream news articles, and it's what I've been telling you over and over again. I mean, you think I just get up here and make stuff up? I don't do it. Now, again, I do call the Tims the Tames. Do stuff like that all the time. I listen to a rebroadcast, and I'm like, what did I just say? Because I'll have like 5 things on my mind, but we've got to just get out of our trance. Here are some of the articles on Infowars.com. Ron Paul, when you have a dictatorship, truth becomes treasonous. Adon Salazar, I want to tweet that out at the real Alex Jones. I want to get that out to everybody. That's such an important video. Speed cameras called a scam. Motorists can't win. Yeah, they've been caught everywhere, shortening the lights so that you can't help it. And again, no amount of money will ever fund the government. It's designed to implode. That's on record as well. But no one's going to listen, so that's fine. Just enjoy it. Continuing, British police use anti-terror moves to arrest protesters. Very, very important. It goes on here. Bloomberg, Alex Jones, free speech causes terrorism. I've never had a hit piece that vicious, where it says Alex Jones doesn't build bombs, he builds bombers. And he's incredibly dangerous and evil. It's a long piece. I mean, that is a real sign they're getting ready to maybe do something even nastier. Because Bloomberg's a made man on the inner circle of the globalist. And it was directed by Bloomberg to come after me with 3 of his investigative reporters. This is the best they could do. It's like, Alex Jones got dealt with. You know, he's been disappeared. He's a terrorist. I mean, he deserves it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We must be alert to the danger that public policy could itself become the captive of a scientific, technological elite. That's the full quote. And I've got the full video. I've asked for this, but I want to really go for it. It's online, the full military-industrial complex speech. I want to get that, and I want to play that on the show. Now, before I go any further here, just briefly at the end of this hour, I'll come back in overdrive and take your phone calls, Stephen and Jonathan and Joseph and Tom and Rod and everybody else. Before I go any further, please remember InfoWarsStore.com. I think the least everybody can do is support my kamikaze media operation, and I'm not kamikazing into a real building. I'm kamikazing into their lies and fraud telling it like it is to wake people up. And unfortunately, I am telling it like it is. As insane as this show sounds, look at history. Governments become insane. I'm just reporting on what they're doing. And as everything we've talked about, unfortunately, becomes mainstream news, and as more and more good whistleblowers go public, that's a great thing. As humanity stands up, it is going to be very climactic. But it's the only hope we've got. We're in a death struggle for the future of civilization itself against pure globalist scum. You can still get the gravity-fed Pro Pure water filters for 10% off online with promo code WATER. 10% off, or you can call. I'm extending this till tomorrow, only on the phone. 888-253-3139, and I'll let you get 15% off. 888-253-3139. Until tomorrow night, you can get 50% off by calling on any of the Pro Pure systems, or 10% off. It's already the lowest price on the internet at InfoWarsStore.com. And your purchase supports the broadcast. Get a PrisonPlanet.tv membership, 11 memberships for $5.95 a month. You can give them to friends and family, get them to watch the nightly news. We're going to have that NSA whistleblower, and we're going to have a defense whistleblower. We'll just put it to you that way tomorrow. Tomorrow night on the nightly news. That's set up for now. So pray for us, ladies and gentlemen. Pray for us and support us, please. It's so important. Let's jam in these calls quick here in Overdrive. Thanks for holding. Stephen in Florida, you want to talk about code enforcement. That's the new tyranny.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Alex, how are you doing?
Good.
Yeah, we had a fire back in January at our house, and it destroyed everything we had. We didn't have any insurance on the house because they said that our roof wasn't good enough. We bought a fixer-upper and lost everything. We were homeless. We got help from the church and people coming together to help us. And now, 90 days after the fire, we got this letter from the police department, Division of Code Enforcement, saying that we got 30 days to bring the property into compliance, or we're going to start getting fined $50 a day.
No, and then they'll take your property from you. They target people under hardship when your house has been destroyed. So the thing is, if you don't just sign over the property to them, they'll take the property and charge you all the money because it's a criminal organization. I mean, you're not some $100 billion globalist who's tax exempt. You will be hammered until you collapse. You will be destroyed. That's their main mission. Destroy America, destroy freedom, harass everybody. I mean, this is their new path to tyranny, is the code enforcement.
Right, and
there'll be loopholes in it that the globalists use. So, there'll be hardship exemptions, things like that. You need to go to county commissioners, right now. You need to have it, declared condemned or whatever. And there's, I don't know your local laws, but generally under common law, you'll be able to extricate yourself from their fraud. But they won't tell you how to do that because they want to hurt you and your family. They are parasites on average. Right. Scum of the earth. Yeah.
We've come up with an idea though on we got a campaign up on Indiegogo.com with Expedition Gnome. Get out and get it. Hello. Hi. Sorry. Yeah. Expedition Gnome. Get out and get it. It was an idea that me and my wife had. Because my dad was a commercial fisherman, and he said that you could always pull yourself up by the bootstraps and just, get out and make your own way.
Nowadays that's not following the law, not paying taxes, and just ignoring everything because they're totally criminal. You got to do what illegal aliens do now. I don't do it because I'm under total scrutiny, but the average person, it's time to just do nothing they say. This government is a bunch of child molesting murderers at the top. Everything they do, our government is basically Hitler. Nothing, they're a criminal, lawless trash, exempt from all the laws. The laws are meant to destroy us. The laws are meant to drive us into submission. God bless you. I mean, that's it. Sounds radical. It's true. I mean, that's it. The only way to survive, I appreciate your call. We're got to go another caller now. Tom in Maryland, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, I can certainly understand your frustration with a lot of folks, but like I told the screener, or the gentleman that took the call originally, Obama has a certain charm about him that he gives you that impression like you could almost have a beer with him.
Hey, maybe you could have a beer with him while he stabs you in the back. That'd be fun.
Well, no. For I think a lot of folks, I think he does have that charm. I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people have a hard time realizing exactly what's going on. And it also makes you wonder just how much control the guy has. You know, I can see a situation where he gets into a position, or anyone for that matter, and they find out that it's not exactly or at all what they thought it was going to be, and they've got forces telling them to do certain things or else, and then there's choices to be made. And I think when you're faced with possibly your family being threatened, you'll do almost anything. So,
yep, and that's the road to tyranny. It's why most countries are collapsed third world cesspits, because everybody just rolls over and does what they say and everything collapses, and men in black uniforms march around everywhere and there's sewage running down the street and everything, and that's our future. That's our future. Super, ultra-rich, armored compounds, people living in total luxury, everybody else living like animals, because we're now a nation of cowards if we continue down this road.